Hey! Happy Sunday, everybody. Zazoo Plazz here. Laissez les bon temps rouler. We're in the woods, Mardi Gras. Zazoo Plazz, taking a breather from all the action here out in the woods. I was scrounging around in our costume bin, and I happened to find these things that we used to wear. I don't know, we got for some party or the place I used to work, which was it was a software firm where we used to develop the platform to sell tickets to events internationally. So we used to have parties, all the time, which is like the perfect place for me to work. So being a software firm, we had parties, we had ping pong. That lasted for a little while. It was a fun place to work, and I learned a lot. So at any rate, and it was right down the street from me, which was perfect. So anyway, I got my stories, but one of the things that I remember about the place is that every year, we'd all get dressed up and we'd have a Mardi Gras party. Well, this is just not going to do it, is it? It's just not going to hold my little cord for my microphone. Yeah, so my husband and I would go. He'd pretty much just wear black jeans and a Hawaiian shirt, but I'd get all dialed up. I wasn't really sure. I'd never really been to New Orleans. My parents did. My parents went. I just thought these glasses are so cool. They're so Zazoo, So I'm gonna wear them in my head. I do my report. I found a nice tree here. So anyway, I was saying I've never been to New Orleans. I've always wanted to go. My parents went when I was 12, and I'll post a picture. They brought me this little doll. Somebody's selling one on eBay. It's like a what do they call it? A cottage doll or something. It's this lady. She's got blue eyes, and she's got like kind of a round bottom, and she's wearing a little apron and a little thingy, and she's here cute. They brought it back for me, and I had it in my box with all my record albums and things. And took it out, and her head fell off. So I don't know if that's some kind of omen or something, but anyway, I was going to bring her out here today, and I said, well, I've already done the headless doll thing out. I'm going to try to fix her, put her head on. It just really wasn't a pretty sight. So anyway, February 27, 2022, I hesitate to say that things are back to normal. I think they're having Mardi Gras this year with all the floats and the queues and the crews, and I don't know. I'm looking at one of my son's signs like astrology. My son, for his Eagle project last year, he put up those signs, and it's still standing out here in the woods. And all around it are trees, all kinds of branches knocked down, and it's really a mess. But I'm hoping the deer show up again, because they came from that way a couple weeks ago, Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm thinking that maybe my necklace will scare them off. I don't know. But I thought it would be nice to get festive, and yeah, I'm feeling much better since I got out here. We've spent the last week tearing apart our laundry room. My husband finally finished last night, really late. He's down there, putting up cabinets. We painted the laundry room blue, 2 different colors of blue from the paint we had left over from my son's room when he did it, my younger son. So we did that, and then he put up the big, white cabinets in there, which was a pain. If anybody's ever put up cabinets, I was watching some of those home improvement shows, and they're like, it's a nightmare trying to get them straight, and to get them, you got to prop them up with like wood and stuff, and better him than me. I wouldn't do that. If I had to put up cabinets, they'd fall down. I just wouldn't do it. This is really great snow, This is finally in New England here. We had the powdery stuff, which is no good for me. But now we got, look at this. It's really good snowball snow. So you can really pack it. You can really squeeze the heck out of it. Because I couldn't do laundry all week. Let's see if I can hit that tree up there. Can I hit that tree? Woo! You heard that? I did it. So anyway, yeah, I'm getting out a little bit of my frustration from the week. So the laundry was up to the ceiling because we couldn't do it, and it just basically disrupted our whole household. Finally today I was able to put in a little wash, and it's stressful. And because we had Monday off. What was it, President's Day? And I'm in my dining room office trying to work, and he's in there banging, bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, I just, and then there's the usual stressors, the news, it's my dad lecturing me about eating more grapefruit. He's going through my mother's, old nutrition books. Because that's all that's left, because he got rid of most of her clothes. He's reading her nutrition books, and from beyond, she's lecturing him about, the benefits of grapefruit. So the poor guy goes into the grocery store, and all he sees is grapefruit. So my poor dad is subsisting on, grapefruit and band music, violin music. Although I found something interesting out this week, and I talked to him. It's interesting when my Zazoo reports, when I go back and I listen to them, months later, I hear things. And this is for you out there, all right? And this is a general thing, I have to say. For those of you, and I read an article this week, a friend of mine sent me, and I have to say this, in general about nostalgia. If those of you out there who think nostalgia can get boring, and you know who you are, I read this lady's article, and how the Gen Xers are at middle life, and the millennials are getting to midlife. Oh, come on. And, this sense of nostalgia, but you don't know, okay? Breathe deeply. Let it pass. Okay, so I'm here to tell you, I think this is my mission, because I get really worked up about it, and I have to throw things. Okay. All right. Here's what I know about nostalgia. And it is my own personal, thinking on the subject. And I think it all ties together. Don't worry, it's coming. All right. When I go back and read my own book, or I go back and I listen to whatever, songs, whatever your version of nostalgia is, whether it's, if it's clothes, if it's reading a book that you read when you were a kid, whatever brings that nice warm fuzzy feeling to you, okay? You are not perceiving it in the same way as you did when you experienced it the first time, okay? You are a different person. And I was meditating, looking at my Captain and Tennille album the other day, talking to them a little, as I do. And I said, Captain and Tony, how did you ever play the same songs all the time? Love will keep us together, and not absolutely go out of your mind. And the answer I got, I don't know if Tony's still around, but the Captain, is that when you're a creative person, what you're bringing to it each time is different. No two snowflakes are alike. No two people are alike. They can't possibly be, right? The divine spark within each of us, right? That's what makes us special, right? That is, we're conduits for the divine. This is a school, right? This is a school. We're learning, how to balance the material with the divine. It's for God's entertainment, basically. He's, and that's my theory. So nostalgia really, it's a yearning for, literally a yearning for home. It's our soul's yearning for home. It's not our yearning to go back to our childhood or whatever nostalgia is supposed to be. No, it's much, there are layers, all right? A friend of mine recently, we have these meetings once a month on Zoom, and we all talk about these things that we like to talk about. My friends, they're yoga teachers, Pilates instructors. They create their own, businesses, their own programs. They have their own wonderful ideas. And they're a little bit older than me, a couple of the ladies. So one of them said, we live in layers. And I love that. We live in layers. Of course we do. And it's the only thing that makes sense, right? So that brings me to the other night. Well, it wasn't just the other night. Today, I had this song stuck in my head. Tears for Fears. And it's Sowing the Seeds of Love. And it's not the one that they've been performing. They have a new album. But it's one of my personal, it's one of those songs that gets stuck in your head, like shout. And it, I remember Tears for Fears releasing that album, Songs from the Big Chair. It was around the time I was a sophomore in college, junior. 1985, somewhere in there. It was the year I went abroad to Spain. It was, and they're close to my heart because a lot of the things they say, it's social commentary. It's stuff, well, anyway, it even goes along with the Bible reading, It's sowing the seeds of love. Basically what you see, right, what you sow, and I talk about this in my book, the chapter where I'm sewing my husband's sleeve on his favorite work shirt, and then he ends up undoing, well, anyway, you read the book. And there will be more stories, by the way. I'm working on more stories. Everything is a story. What I was burning to say was just, the whole, what you see, right? The fruit, is the result of what you plant. So what we see out in the world is the result of what's been planned, what's been going on, and probably for centuries, I mean, that's what it is. What you see is it's almost like my finance professor in college used to say something like, if something is being reflected in the market, it's like old news, right? It's already if you had, it's, the whole monkey throwing darts at the at the stock market, a monkey trying to pick stocks could do just as well as somebody, who supposedly had a finance degree in investments like I had, trying to pick stocks because it's random. And the universe is random, or so we think. Um, it is random, but astrology, and it's interesting because I've been watching that documentary that I signed up for, and I just unsubscribed from it because it was really starting to take over my life and ruin my creativity. But because, but they were showcasing the result of the Uranus Pluto conjunctions and oppositions and squares across history, and how what appears to be random chaos is in fact a result of planetary aspects. And it, it was a very Hollywood production, let's just say. The lady who's in her scarf and her coiffed hair and her perfect nails, sitting there trying not to offend and asking questions of astrologers. I'm like, enough of this crap. I want to know about I'm an advanced student. There was nothing in that. They're like, oh, what if somebody wants to go beyond their sun sign? I'm like, no, let's just get to the good stuff, So I could see my mother smiling at me from the wall. What did you think? It's a good thing you didn't pay for this, because you would have been out a lot of money and very disappointed and throwing more things rather than just snowballs. There's a plane. Because that's what she would always say. I'd go and I'd have her, she actually paid for me to have a reading when I was, it was about 1989. I guess I was 23, with the best astrologer in Connecticut. He was one of the first, Alfie Lavoie. He started, he created his own software. He was one of the first, one of the pioneers, one of the best astrologers in this area. My mother used to listen to him on the radio. My mother was one of those, as they say, old hippies, right? So anyway, she used to sit in her room at night and pore over her ephemeris charts, her charts with all the symbols and weird stuff. And, voodoo is what I thought it was, right? Voodoo. But she was the student of the stars. So anyway, I think my mission is to move us beyond just nostalgia, because don't you get a headache when you're on the throwback page too much? It's like, enough already. How many times can I look at, Hostess snowballs or dinglings, or what soda you've got a quarter, what soda are you going to buy, or what, we're past that now. That's what I'm saying. We're past that now, and it's time. Nostalgia is the medium by which the source speaks to me, the divine, all right, the force, whatever. Tears for Fears pops into my head, because they know that that's how they're going to get my attention, and what really frightens me is reading people who are supposedly journalists, who put stuff out there, and nobody has the guts to go against them and say, but then I read about the plank in the eye and the whole splinter thing, so I'm like, okay, obviously this triggers me, so I have to do some work on what it is about me that makes me so mad, and I think it's because I'm not putting enough out there. I'm not writing. I'm setting myself up so that I can write, a lot. Because I apparently am this kind of person who needs to get it off my chest. And it's, so I get mad at these people who are just kind of, they're throwing it out there. They've probably moved on. They don't know that I'm sitting here seething, reading about this stuff. It's because that's my stuff. That's what I'm supposed to be talking about. And I'm not talking about it, so somebody's giving me a nudge, right? Hey, stupid. Get out there. So this is what I'm doing. Very Pallas Athena in the Aries of me. Yeah. So anyway, the themes for this week: Grackle and Spackle. Okay, so we got a nice little bird feeder. Filled it up with seeds, and we can see the little chickadees and the ones with the cardinals and the red ones. They're like finches maybe, I don't know, the little ones. Then all of a sudden this week, these huge blackbirds show up. Like one of them at first. I'm like, I say to my husband, hey, look, we have invaders, and they look menacing at first, don't they? Big blackbirds. And then you get closer and you look at them in the sunlight, and they're gorgeous. Their heads are like shimmering turquoise, and their beaks are gold, and they've got green and purple and all these wonderful colors. And I said, wow, they are really magical birds. And there's some kind of, magical meaning about seeing a grackle, and it's probably, time to go out and show my colors, a little bit. So, it's a nice grackle. I tried taking pictures, and they kept getting scared away. So then the one grackle flies away, and then he comes back with like 6 of his friends. They're all grackle, eating all the seeds. The little birds are like, So like you got one grackle on one side, way down, you got this little bird trying to hang on the other side. But they worked it out. They worked out how many little birds, they got. I said, my husband, look at this. They got a waiting line. They got a queue. There's one bird waiting to go on. It's like a ride, like an amusement park ride, right? And they got a grackle and a cardinal, and then the cardinal leaves, and the little bird comes, and the grackle leaves, and they got them going on the bottom, and it's like a dance, You watch the birds coming and going, and who's this guy? It's one of those newspapers, I looked it up. One of those newspapers that used to really bug me when I was in communications for the state agency, because they put a big firewall, and they tell you, oh, sorry, you read your one article per month, now you have to pay us, $30 or whatever to read this article. Like, no, I'm not going to frickin' pay you for this crap, which is 99% ads, and has nothing to do with what I value, all right? I'm not going to pay your stupid firewall. Oh. Anyway, ask me how I feel about that. And I know, I get it. I was a journalist. I wrote for my local paper for 12 years. And then I knew it was starting to wane because they had me writing about, the Chamber of Commerce and stuff for the little, the circular that went out with all the ads in it. I'm like, I don't want to write ads. I don't want to do this. I want to write pieces. I want to write features and stuff that people really enjoy. That's interesting. I don't want to write this crap about the Chamber of frickin' Commerce. So that's when I had to cut it with the local paper. And the rest of the, now local papers are like, my husband still religiously goes online, and he goes on his little tablet with the crappy cover that's like falling apart. He sits on the crappy couch that's falling apart and reads his, I said, here, ladies and gentlemen, it's the decline of society as we've known it. My husband in his old jeans, sitting there with all these dog blankets on top of him that have holes in them where the dog has bitten them, lying on a couch that is stained beyond recognition. So that's why my son, the Virgo, put all the dog blankets on top of it so the dog can lie on it and people won't have to see the stains on our couch. This is my life, folks. My son, by the way, my husband said, I got a text from my oldest son, who's a Virgo, and he said, oh, I was going to come home, but I'm going to the movies with my friends. And he says, our son just went to 7-Eleven and he bought an 8-pack of water for $4. or something. And he's going to take his water in the movies it's concealed in his coat. And I'm like, because he doesn't want to pay $5 for a water at the movie theater, right? So this is my son, you know. And I said, I can see it already. The FBI's most wanted, you know, with my son, with his senior college picture with the suit and tie, you know, and the gray, or the, you know, the navy golf shirt, the ones we picked out. And I can just see it, you know, wanted, you know. Have you seen this young man? Wanted for sneaking water into the movies. I used to have this mom friend. She had 3 boys. And money, you know, she didn't want to spend the money on when we took them to the movies. So she'd get this big bag and she'd have all her snacks, you know, and put her sweater on top of it or something. And she'd be like, hey, you, hey, hey, she'd pass out the snacks when we got into the theater, right? So I'm like, oh, my son must remember that. That's where he got the idea, right? It's not because he's frugal. So anyway, oh, I'm running out of time. Darn it. So yeah, Spackle, and of course the Spackle, the Grackles, and the Spackle is, you know, fixing all the holes in the wall in the laundry room. So, you know, which was horribly. So our dryer wasn't even hooked up to the outside. So my sons, last time they were home, they're like, look at all the lint. The lint was backing up inside the laundry room. It was everywhere. It was in the radiator. It was in the walls, on the ceiling, behind the thing. It would have burst into flames. So, you know, it took us a long time to get rid of all that, and we're getting a new washing machine this week, so that'll be something. And you know, it's a new day, so we avoided disaster. That particular disaster, anyway. So we'll see what's lurking in the rest of the house, but you know, it's kind of nice in the woods. I remembered to bring my lamp today, so yeah. Now I'm feeling like I've kind of, yeah, I'm good for the moment. I can go home and you know, have dinner and scan some more of my papers and manage to avoid watching 60 Minutes with my husband, because that's the highlight of his Sunday, other than finishing the laundry. Help me. Help me. Oh my goodness. Well, until next week, Zazoo Plazz. Yeah, happy Mardi Gras. I'm going to make my jambalaya gumbo combination Tuesday night. And this Wednesday is the start of the Catholic Lenten season, which, you know, traditionally we celebrated in my family, but you know, I personally, I think it's sometimes we need Lent all year round in little doses instead of all at once in March. But more on that later. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Zazoo Plazz signing out. Bye-bye. Ta-ta.